Exercising is hard work. Getting on a budget and staying on a budget is hard work. Jamie and I did our 2024 budget. It's hard work. Keeping your house clean with kids is hard work. And how many of you know that relationships are hard work? Having a good marriage is hard work. Jamie and I, we've been married over 19 years, and we've had great seasons and some bad seasons. It's hard work to be married a long time. It's even harder to be married a long time and have a God-honoring marriage. Parenting is hard work. It's a lot of work to raise kids who love the Lord in this crazy world. Having relationships with some of our family members is hard work. Some grandparents, or maybe that crazy uncle or aunt, cousins, in-laws. It's hard work. Dating is hard work. Friendships are hard work. It's a lot of work to have good friendship. Come on, just look at your neighbor. Tell them you're a lot of work. Tell them, hey, now look at your second choice and say, I didn't talk to you first because, child, you're double the work. Yeah, tell them. Tell them. Because relationships are so hard, a lot of people have given up on them. Talking about Christian people have given up on relationships. I hear Christians say, I love God, but I don't want anything to do with God's people. They think they're just fine all by themselves. They say things like, I am better off in life if I just spend my time with me, myself, and I. All I need is me and Jesus. Me and Jesus are a good team. Me and Jesus are good enough. I don't need anyone else. But church, here's the interesting thing. The first problem in the Bible was not a sin problem. It was a solitude problem. In Genesis 1, when God created the earth, he said, it is good 6 times. Once he even said, it's very good. Everything God created was good. And before sin ever entered the world, God said there was one thing that wasn't good. Look at Genesis 2:18. The Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. The man had God as his best friend. He lived in a perfect environment. There was no sin on the earth, but God knew that he wired the man for relationship. And that's not just true for Adam, it's true for you and me. It's true for every human being. We all need relationships. It's not good for us to be alone, because when we get isolated, our mental health declines. Worry, stress, depression, and anxiety all increase when we live isolated lives. It's not good for us to be alone, because people who have friendships live longer. It's not good for you to be alone, because the quality of your life will be determined by the quality of your relationships. I'll be honest with you, I am an introvert. I don't require a lot of friends. But my personality does not negate the truth of God's word that I need friendships. And my friends, they mean the world to me. My life is richer because I have not only my wife, my kids, but also my friends. I thank God for my friends. I thank God for my small group. In church, no matter your personality type, you need friendships. You need relationships. And today I want to talk to you about Ruth and her friendship with Naomi. In Ruth chapter 1, verse 3 through 6, if you want to read that on your own, you can, but I'm just going to give you a summary here. The Bible lets us know that Naomi and her husband had 2 sons. Naomi's husband died, and she was now a single mom with 2 sons. Her 2 sons married Moabite women. one named Orpah and the other Ruth. 10 years later, her 2 sons died. Ruth and Naomi had some great reasons on why they should not maintain their relationship. And so I want us to glean some insight from this story. And so first, I want to share with you 3 things that keep you from owning the building and maintaining of your relationship. The first thing is pain. Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah were experiencing intense grief and emotional pain due to the loss of their husbands. I can only imagine their grief. Naomi lost her husband and her 2 sons. Ruth and Orpah lost their husband and their brother-in-law. If there was ever 3 people that had a legitimate excuse to isolate themselves and to avoid relationships, it was these 3 women. See, pain has a way of driving us into isolation. When we're hurting, we tend to hide. When we're in pain, we come to church late and then we dash right out the door when service is over. And if you're not careful, pain will drive you away from the relationships you need the most. Even when you're in pain, it's not good for you to be alone. The second thing is problems. Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah's world has turned upside down when their husbands died. They didn't just lose their husbands, but they lost their income. These men worked and provided for their family. And so these ladies, they didn't know how they were going to buy food or pay their bills. They had some serious problems. And when people are overwhelmed with problems, they tend to pull away from relationships, pull away from their friendships. They isolate themselves. Have you isolated yourself because of your problems? You're tired, weary, overwhelmed. Maybe you're embarrassed and you just don't want to deal with people. But it's not good for you to be alone. The third thing is people. I know Ruth's mother-in-law wasn't perfect. She made some mistakes in their relationship. Maybe she crossed the line and started meddling in Ruth's marital tension with her husband. Maybe one year, Naomi forgot to buy Ruth a birthday gift. I'm sure Ruth had some good reasons on why she shouldn't maintain a relationship with Naomi now that her husband was dead. See, one of the biggest reasons we don't build or maintain relationships with people is because people are flawed. How many of you know people will hurt you, frustrate you, get on your nerves, irritate you, make you mad? How many of you know people can be goofy and unreliable? Come on, lift your hand if you know any weird people. Come on, lift your hand if you know any weird people. And if you don't have your hand lifted, it's because you're the weird one, okay? I'm joking. Some of you are not owning your relationships because you are sick and tired of people. You don't have any close friends because people have hurt you. You're not getting connected at People's Church because someone disappointed you or broke your trust. Even though people can be weird and goofy, God said it's not good for you to be alone. You still need people. And so I want to share with you 4 lessons you learned from Ruth on how to own your friendships. First lesson is this: press through pain. Look at Ruth chapter 1, verse 8 through 10. It says, "Then Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, 'Go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show you kindness, if you have shown kindness to your dead husbands and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in the home of another husband.' Then she kissed them goodbye, and they wept aloud and said to her, 'We will go back with you to your people.'" These 2 daughters-in-law were pressing through some unbelievable pain as they wept aloud and said, "We want to go with you." Listen, to own friendships, we have to press through pain. In life, pain is unavoidable. You will have personal pain, you will have people pain, but even when you're going through physical, emotional, mental pain, you need relationships. When your heart is broken, when you're grieving, when you're hurting, you need relationships. People will disappoint you, they'll let you down, they'll get on your nerves, make you mad, but you still need relationships. I can tell you, after 15 years of being a pastor at People's Church and dealing with all types of people, I have learned to develop thick skin, but yet maintain a tender heart. I refuse to become jaded towards people or to stop loving people and believing the best in people and building relationships with people. Church, you have to press through pain to own your relationships because it is not good for you to be alone. Number 2, the second lesson is be committed. Look at Ruth 1:11 through 18. But Naomi said, "Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons? Who could become your husbands? Return home, my daughters. I am too old to have another husband. Even if I thought there was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight and then gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grew up? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters. It is more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord's hand has turned against me." At this they wept aloud again. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. "Look," said Naomi, "your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her." But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me." And it says, when Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. Orpah was like, "You're right, Naomi. You aren't going to have any more sons, and even if you did, I'm not waiting. I'm trying to get married in a year or two and have some kids." And I don't blame her. I don't blame her. They were all in pain. Naomi was bitter, but Ruth clung to Naomi. She was committed to her even though it was a tough season. When we own our relationships, we are committed during the good seasons and the bad seasons. Relationships are hard work. Marriage is hard work. Parenting is hard work. Family relationships, hard work. Church relationships are hard work. Friendships are hard work. So God-honoring relationships, they require clinging. They require being committed to one another. We have to be committed to one another when we get offended. Be committed when someone disagrees with us. Be committed when you see someone's humanity, their flaws, their issues. Be committed even though they have a different culture or perspective than you. Be committed during this upcoming election season. I've seen people walk away from their own family over an election. They leave their friends, they leave their church. Oh God, may we have the character of Christ and be committed to our relationships. Ephesians 4:2 says, be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Ruth models this for us so well. Naomi was bitter. She was even a little angry at God. She told Ruth multiple times to leave. Go back to your people. I don't need you in my life. But Ruth was patient with her. She was bearing with her. See, relationships aren't all about us. It's not always about what we can get out of the relationship. Sometimes it's about what we can give. It's about how we can be there for someone when they're hurting, bitter, lonely, confused, scared, or angry. You have to make up in your mind, I am going to bear with people. Colossians 3:13, bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. Bearing with people will require you to forgive people. People will hurt you, disappoint you, and let you down. But we are called to forgive and bear with each other. So look at your neighbor and say, I guess I'll put up with you a little longer. Go ahead, tell him, I guess I'll put up with you a little longer. Number 3, the third lesson, have realistic expectations. We can learn so much from Ruth about having realistic expectations as we examine her relationship with Naomi. Ruth knew Naomi was bitter and angry with God. She knew Naomi didn't want to get remarried and have more children. She knew Naomi was relocating. She knew their relationship would look different now that her husband and Naomi's son was dead. I'm sure she knew that when she got married to another man, it could create some challenges in their relationship. Ruth had some realistic expectations when she clung to her relationship with Naomi. She was committed to the relationship during this new season. See, one of the reasons people stop owning their relationships is because so many of people have unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations lead to frustration. Unchecked frustration leads to people not owning their relationships. Let me give you some realistic expectations about people. First, people are crazy. All of us got a little bit of crazy in us. Crazy behaviors, crazy habits, crazy routines. Every night I sleep with a body pillow. Don't judge. I cling to it. I love my body pillow. You got to pray for your pastor. I still bite my nails. When I go to a restaurant, I order the same thing. I am not adventurous. People are crazy. Number 2, people will hurt you and disappoint you. If you think otherwise, you have unrealistic expectations. Here's what I've learned about people that I think will help you have the right expectations of them. Most people have good hearts, but bad practices. They have good hearts, but bad practices. Most people were never taught or never saw modeled for them in a healthy way how to deal with trauma, pain, loss, grief, disappointment, setbacks, and anger. So they react in a way that isn't helpful to them or to their relationships. And then number 3, relationships go through different seasons. So you have to show grace, love, and commitment through every season of life. Ruth and Naomi were going through a new season. And Ruth said, I'm committed to you. I'm clinging to you. I'm not giving up on our relationship. Church, you have to have realistic expectations or you won't own building and maintaining your relationships. And then number 4, the fourth lesson, God's plan for your life is connected to people. One of the amazing things about this story, and really the story of the Bible, is when people stay connected to people, they fulfill God's plan for their life. See, because Ruth stayed committed and connected to Naomi and went with her to her homeland, she met and married a man named Boaz. They then had a son named Obed, who had a son named Jesse, who had a son named David, the man after God's own heart, who had a son named Solomon, who was the wisest man to ever live. 28 generations after David, our Messiah, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, was born. Jesus Christ was born from the lineage of Ruth and Boaz. God's plan for your life is always connected to people. It's not good for you to be alone because you can't live out your life, your purpose for your life all by yourself. Even Jesus needed people to fulfill his purpose. Jesus chose 12 disciples, 12 close friends to do life with. Jesus knew his purpose was connected to people. I wonder how many of you are missing out on God moments, God opportunities, open doors, your divine destiny and purpose because you're not connected and committed to people. You need people to fulfill your God-given purpose. And so I want to give you 3 quick applications. Number 1, be committed to your family. Come on, own it. Love your family. Build relationships. Invest, forgive, work through the problems. Don't wait on them. You own it. Get signed up and get to our marriage conference on February 25th. You can sign up out in the lobby. Sign up for that marriage conference. Invest in your marriage. Own it. Secondly, be committed to your friends. Come on, own it. Love your friends. Build relationships. Invest, forgive, own it. Well, Pastor, I don't have any friends. Own it. Go make some friends. Initiate it. Get in a small group. Go to Growth Track. Own your relationships. And thirdly, be committed to your church family. Come on, own it. Love your church family. Build relationships. Invest, forgive, own it. Own your relationships. Well, I don't know anybody at church. I just can't make friends. Own it. Well, the church is too big. No, you have to own it. Have initiative. There's not a small group for me. Own it. There is one for you. Or maybe God's calling you to lead a small group, to make friends and relationships and help others get connected. We got a training coming up on Tuesday via Zoom. If you want to lead a small group, stop by the small group table, connect with our team, get signed up for a training, lead a small group, own it, lead it. Go to the app. You can sign up for that training on the app or on the website, but sign up for a training dates. Small groups launch next Sunday, February 4th. Everybody get in a small group. Own it. Get on the directory. Come to church next Sunday. Meet the small group leaders. Find your group. You got to own it. You got to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. You weren't created to be alone or isolated. That's the devil's plan for your life. God's plan for your life is people and relationship. And yes, it's messy. It's not always perfect, but that's why God teaches us to forgive and to bear with one another. That's why he teaches us from Ruth to cling, because we need it. We have to have godly relationships, the right relationships. And so own it. Be committed to your family. Be committed to your friendships. Be committed to your church family.